Hi, this is Laura from Crafty Not Shifty. Thank you for joining me today for my 10 cards 1 kit video featuring the Love From Lizi July card kit. So I decided to keep it really simple for this first card and make use of all of those gems that are included in the kit. They come in 3 different sizes, so I took some of my circle dies and I traced 3 circles on the edge of my card, and then I used those gems to just go ahead and outline those circles. So I started with a small circle and the large gems, then a medium circle with the medium gems, and then a large circle with the small gems. And I've just got you super sped up here while I show you adding those gems. Yeah, I'm definitely not that quick. So it took a little while, but I like the way it looked in the end. And then I used this chipboard sticker that says beautiful. So if you watched last month's video, I bought some of the chipboard add-ons for my card kit. And I don't know how I managed to do this, but for some reason I convinced myself that they weren't self-adhesive. So I went ahead and added glue onto the back of all of them, which was crazy because, yeah, they have a release paper on the back and they're self-adhesive. So if you buy any of those chipboard stickers, which were an add-on last month and are an add-on this month, then yeah, don't be an idiot like me. Go ahead and peel the release paper off and they stick right onto your project. Now, if you do have this card kit and you don't have the add-ons, then that's fine. You could go ahead and use a sentiment from a stamp set in your stash, or you could use one of the sentiments in this month's stamp set. Okay, so on to card 2. I'm using one of the pink card bases, and I created all of my card bases by just taking the A4 cardstock that came in the kit, cutting that in half and folding it in half. And for this one, I've got a patterned piece of paper that I've cut down to be slightly smaller, and I've just stuck that on the back with my ATG gun. You'll see that a lot in this video. It is one of my preferred methods of adhesive. It's just really quick and easy, and I love to just have that right at hand on my desk. And I've put some of that adhesive on the back of some of this vellum strip. Because that vellum has got so much pattern going on, I haven't necessarily had to worry about how I'm going to stick the vellum down, but I will have some vellum pieces later in this video, and I'll show you how I worked around sticking those down without the adhesive showing through that transparent vellum. So I'm just using another couple of the chipboard stickers. I really liked this Flourish, but it was a bit big and a bit busy for my card design, so I just went ahead and cut it. So I've essentially changed it into 2 pieces, and I'm just figuring out where to stick that on the card. And again, I've used that Inspire, which is a chipboard piece, for my sentiment. I think these chipboard extras are really great. I mean, so much does come in the kits and they're really easy to pull together some cards. But for me, I really like the quick and easy dimension of having these chipboard pieces. And have you seen the state of my scissors just there? I need to apologise to them and take them to the spa. That's what I tend to refer to it as when I deep clean any of my tools. Yeah, those Tim Holtz scissors helped me out with a project that I was doing in the house. I was putting up some like drywall, some plasterboard. Yeah, they got really messy. So back to the card, I'm adding a couple of these pink gems into the bottom right hand corner, and that's something that I tend to like to do with the gems or sometimes with the Nuvo dots, just to add a little something extra when I feel like I'm not quite finished yet but I'm not sure what I want to add. That's kind of one of my go-tos. Okay, so for card 3, I'm working on one of the grey card bases. I really like the colours in this month's card kit. I think pink and grey are beautiful, especially with the added metallics as well. So I've stuck down this patterned paper. Again, I've cut it to be just slightly smaller. And then I thought this piece worked really well. It looks almost like a black and white version of what's in the background, so I thought that worked really nicely with these particular papers. And then this chipboard sticker here, you can sort of see the same design in the background that's also on the first piece of patterned paper that I stuck down. And then I've used some of the sentiments from the kit. So this right here that I've got in my left hand, that is a Stamp-O-Majig, or as it gets referred to in my house, a Stamp-O-Majig. It has a little song sung every time it gets lifted out of my cupboard, so there you go, I've shared that with you. And that's a really great alternative if you don't have a stamping tool such as the Misty. So you basically go ahead and line that right angle up with the edge of your block. You do need to be using a square or rectangular block, anything with a right angle. You just go ahead and line that up and press your stamp down, and as long as you keep that blue piece in place, then when you lift your stamp away and re-ink it, you can just go ahead and stamp back in the exact same spot. My Misty was like hiding under a pile of paper or something while I was creating some of these cards, so you'll see me use that Stamp-A-Majig a couple of times. I'm not going to sing it again because, yeah, I'm already embarrassed I did that once. So there we go. I'm just finishing this off with some of the peel-offs, and please excuse my voice. I've got a bit of a cold, and I think that's kind of coming through as I'm working on this voiceover. So I'm just finishing this card off by adding some of those pink peel-offs. And I think it's a really nice way just to kind of hide the join between your different layers of paper, and it gives a really professional look to the cards. It looks really nice. Okay, so for the next card, I've got my yellow card base and another piece of patterned paper. Again, I've cut this to be just slightly smaller than my card size. And these cards, because I started off with A4 cardstock, these cards are slightly different than the US standard size of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But if you're looking for envelopes that these cards would fit into, then I would suggest that you look for C6 size envelopes. Okay, so once I've stuck down this patterned paper, I'm just tracing around one of these chipboard pieces. I wanted to make a shaker card, but I wanted to make it slightly differently. So I've traced around that chipboard piece and then I cut it out with my craft knife. It did leave, I wasn't maybe as careful as I should have been with this. So the outside of the card, it's not a problem because I'm going to cover that up with a frame, which you'll see shortly. But for the inside of the card, yeah, I hadn't thought it all the way through. I just thought, oh, that's going to be covered, it's fine, I don't need to be too careful. But you can see that edge on the inside, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So I'm just checking that that piece fits inside the window that I've created, which it does. And then I've gone ahead and added some double-sided sticky tape all around the inside, and I've got a piece of acetate that I'm just going to stick over the top of that. So the front of the card, I've got a like a little window, but it doesn't go all the way through, so I'm going to be able to add some sequins into there in just a minute. So once I had that all pressed down and I was happy with it, this is the frame that I'm going to add on top. So I'm just making sure I'm comfortable with how that fits, and I've got no extra pieces of paper that I needed to trim away from that edge. And I've gone ahead and added some double-sided tape. For some reason, I don't really know why I did this, I added the double-sided tape to the front of the chipboard piece. I think I was trying to give a little bit of extra lift between the base of the card and the top of the chipboard piece, so my sequins had some area to move around, but you can see that adhesive a little bit, so yeah, I'm a bit annoyed at myself over that, but there we go. So I sprinkled in some of the sequin mix. This sequin mix is lovely. It's got like little shaker beads inside it, so it's really satisfying whenever you shake the card because it's actually got like a little noise, which is really nice because I think with shaker cards, you know, you see the sequins move. One's just trying to escape there, so I'm just going to use my craft knife to poke it back in. But with this, you can actually hear it as well, so it's lovely. And yeah, it's just a slightly different take on the shaker card. And I like the way it's almost like a floating shaker in the front part of the card, and then that sticker is in the background. So I've got a couple of the stickers that came in the kit. So these aren't the chipboard ones, as I'm sure you can see. These are just regular flat stickers, and these came in the kit, and I'm just adding a couple of those onto the left-hand side. I did consider adding some of the twine that came in the kit, but in the end I decided just to leave it with the stickers. And I'm just adjusting the way I'd stuck those down. So generally when I'm working with stickers, I try to place them down quite gently at first and then press them to make sure they're stuck properly, because I do tend to change my mind a little bit while I'm working on things. So I fussed with this one for a while and eventually settled on pressing it down just there. And that's it for this card. Okay, so on to the next card, and for this one I'm using, I think, my favourite piece of patterned paper from this month's kit. It's like a really soft pink watercolour with some little white hearts in the background, and again I've cut that down just to be slightly smaller than my card base, and I've used my ATG tape runner to stick that down. I'm then going to add a vellum piece, and total coincidence, this month I think everyone in the Love From Lizi design team has used a version of the Xyron sticker machine to actually convert their vellum pieces into stickers, and it's a really great way to stick down vellum without having to worry about the adhesive showing through, because it's a really thin, even coat right across the piece. So I've then got another of the chipboard pieces and I've just stuck that down. And then I'm going to use the Stamp-A-Majig again. I'm trying to refrain from singing anymore. And I've just pressed everything up into the corner of the Stamp-A-Majig, and I'm inking up the stamp once, and I'll just press it right into the corner and then press down to stamp as you would normally. Make sure that Stamp-A-Majig stays in place and then repeat it again. So this is a really great alternative to anyone who doesn't have the MISTI but is looking to be able to do some double stamping. And then because that VersaFine ink will stay wet on the vellum for a really long time, I've gone ahead and put some clear embossing powder over the top and just heat set that with my heat gun. Okay, and that's it. I kept that card really simple. I did consider adding some of the Nuvo drops or adding some gems, but I decided to leave it how it was. So for this next card, I've got a piece of the yellow patterned paper, and I'm adding that onto a grey top folding note card. And I'm going to use some of the stickers. There's a couple of different patterns of like a banner. Well, it's a triangle, but it looks like a banner shape. So I'm adding that along the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my craft knife just to cut off the excess. And I just didn't press too firmly. I used a straight edge and I just pressed really lightly to make sure that I only cut through the sticker rather than cutting through my entire card. So I've got my double-sided foam tape. This is the Scotch double-sided foam tape. You can see there any of the little pieces of foam tape that I ever have extra. I just stick those onto the side of the roll for whenever I need just a little bit of tape. And yeah, I'm just going ahead and covering the back of this sticker to give it some dimension, peeling off the backing, and then I'll place that in the centre towards the bottom. I think it's really cute. I love that little like tandem bike there, and the sentiment's really sweet as well. So I'm adding a couple of the pink gems just to finish this off and add a little bit more interest to the background. And these come in a couple of different sizes, and I think I'm actually using one of each size. And the tiniest ones, or actually, sorry, I think it might have even been the second smallest. Yeah, that's the tiniest there. But the second smallest work really well just in the centre of those bike tyres, which I thought looked really sweet. Okay, so moving on to the next card. Again, I think I was quite consistent this month. I think for all of my cards, pretty much I've started with my HEG tape runner, and I've either got a patterned piece of paper that's the same size or just slightly smaller than my card base. And then again, I'm going to come in and use my sticker machine just to create another... That noise is my dog. That noise is my dog grumbling. I think he's not very happy that I'm busy doing a voiceover rather than giving him attention. Sorry about that. So as I was adding the adhesive to this, I got a little bit of like a crinkle in a piece of the vellum, but it was no problem. I was able to smooth that out really easily using my bone folder. I then decided that I wanted to add some of the glitter to the handlebars and to the seat of both sections of the tandem bike, and I decided to use the clear glitter for this, and just sprinkled that on, tapped off the excess, and I actually just used my hand to brush away any of the excess that was left on the back of the card there, and it gives some really nice like dimensional glitter. For the sentiment, I picked the You Are Lovely sticker tag from the kit and just added that up in the top right hand corner. For the next card, I decided that I was going to use the like film strip chipboard sticker. So first of all, I've got this patterned paper. It's like a pink and grey like medallion pattern, and I'm just covering the entire card base with that. And then I've got this sticker here that had, see those stickers that are on my hand? That's what came inside of this like film strip frame, but I decided to fill it in with some of the flowers instead. So I just popped out some of the different flowers, and I had to think about how I wanted to stick those down, and just arrange them in a way that I liked, and then peeled off the backing and stuck each of those in place. I then decided to bring out the stamp set because it's a beautiful stamp set, and I hadn't actually used many of the stamps yet on my cards other than a couple of the sentiments, and I just inked up the little basket and also the handle and stamped those down. Now, if I'd have thought ahead, I would have coloured this in before I did anything else, but you'll see in a minute that I didn't think that far ahead, so I just went ahead and stamped it down and then used my scissors to fussy cut it out and place it onto the card. So there are some really sweet like flowers that are included in the kit, but for this card, because there's so much dimension with the frame and the chipboard flowers that I've already stuck down, I decided to be consistent and use some of the small chipboard flowers to fill in that basket. And again, this is what I mean about it would have made perfect sense to go ahead and colour that basket in first, because I'm sticking all of these down, getting really excited. I'm like, oh, it looks really cute, and then I thought, I'm not exactly going to be able to get my pen nib right in there to get the colour in place. So it took me a little minute to sort of try and wiggle around those chipboard pieces, but you know, it wasn't a problem. You can't tell with the end result that I didn't think to colour this first. So then I added some of the black gems as the centres of the flowers, just to add a little bit of sparkle to this card, because it's otherwise quite plain. Well, not plain, but it's quite matte. There's no like sparkle added anywhere. So I just added that with the gems. And I've left a sentiment off this card so I can stamp on it at a later date when I decide what I'm going to use it for. So for this card here, I've got a tip actually for this. So this pattern paper is really nice and I wanted it to be centered on my card, but it can be quite difficult sometimes. So I just have a piece of acetate that's the exact same size as my card base, and I've just got some washi tape stuck around the edges so it's easy for me to find it on my craft desk. And I just go ahead and line that up over the top of the patterned paper, and I can just draw around that then and decide exactly where I want to cut my piece. So the part of that patterned paper that I want to be centered on my card can be. So hopefully you'll find that useful. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my paper trimmer to cut off each of the edges, and then I'll have a perfectly centered piece for my card. So you guessed it, to stick everything down, I'm going to go ahead and use my ATG tape runner and apply adhesive all around the outside edge of the patterned paper, and then line that up on my card base and press it down. I then decided for this card that I was going to use another piece of the vellum. So this really beautiful pattern that's in the centre of this paper is sort of replicated on one of the pieces of vellum in like a window form. So I thought that would look really pretty placed on top, and it would just be a nice way to add a bit of shine and a bit of foil to this card. So I ran that through my sticker machine and then placed that down over the top. And it's great with the vellum the way you can sort of see through it and decide exactly how you're going to line something up before you commit to pressing it down. And I think this card is a really great example of how the sticker maker makes it really easy to position your vellum without having to worry about what shows through. So I got these two tags. These are both stickers, and rather than trying to use some like powder to remove the stick from the back of the tag, I decided just to layer them one on top of each other, so then that way it wouldn't be sticky at all on the back of this tag. And I've got the twine. This is like a paper twine that came in the kit, and I'm just going to use that to wrap it around the left hand side of the card, and I've made sure to thread the tag through that first. And the thing that I really like about this is the tag actually is able to move up and down along that piece of twine because I haven't stuck it down. To me, I think that's just really fun. For you, you know, you might prefer to go ahead and stick that down, but I like to keep it as it was and be able to move that. And I will go ahead and trim off the excess of that twine on the inside of the card. I just didn't capture that on the video here. So I decided I wanted just a tiny bit more embellishment, and I added some of the black and pink gemstones, so I've just sped you up, and I'm alternating the colours through the pattern in the centre there, and I just think it adds a little something extra to this card and gives it something really special. Okay, so for card 10, I decided I wanted to make a slider card. So bear with me and I'll go through at quite a high level just the generic steps that are needed to make a slider card, and you can see how I put that together. So first of all, I've covered my card base with a patterned paper, and then I've got a white piece that's going to make my slider track and a white piece that I'm going to use to cut out the bike. So I took both of those to my die cutting machine and ran them through, and I created this track here and added double-sided sticky tape. So for the bike, I decided to use the marker pen that's included in the kit. This is one of those chameleon pens that changes colour, so you can get different shades of the same colour from just one pen, which is really great for getting light and shade in your alcohol ink marker colourings. And you just hold it upside down with the nib of the pen inside the mixing chamber, and that will sort of lighten the colour that's at the tip, and then as you colour it will darken back to the true shade. So I just went ahead and coloured the whole bike using this one marker and using the properties of that chameleon pen to get the different shades. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick down my track. This has got some foam tape on the back so it's raised up off my card base. And I've then got these little tiny plastic pieces which are going to act as my slider mechanisms, and I'm putting a little bit of glue onto both of those. And then my bike, as you can see here, I'm going to hide these little stilts behind this piece of grass. So these little stilts will attach to the slider mechanisms, which will slide along the slider track. I hope you're still with me. I appreciate I'm going through this quite quickly. So in order to be able to move that bike in and out, I need a little piece of paper that I can pull. And I've just stamped the hello from the stamp set, and I'm applying a little bit of glue onto the stilts, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach this piece of paper, and then I'll find that as I pull that out from the right hand side, the bike will move across and slide along the front of my card. So I've placed something heavy on top of that to dry, and I'm just going to go ahead and add just another piece of foam tape, and then I'll put everything back together and add the grass. So apologies, my camera did cut out just a little bit there, but hopefully you can see how it works. So I think with this, for certainly the section with the hello written on it, where you pull the bike in and out, I definitely should have gone ahead and doubled up on my cardstock. I used some green cardstock from my stash, and it wasn't the thickest or the strongest, so that section is actually quite flimsy. But you live and learn. Next time I make this card, I'll make sure to use a heavier cardstock or double up on the cardstock. So I cut a couple of clouds and added those to the top, and that finishes off the scene. So again, this card didn't have any glitter on it, and it was such a glittery card kit that I just had to add a little bit of glue to the bike seat and go ahead and pour some of the glitter on. And if you were looking at this, so that bike die, it came in the kit, and it actually cuts out the bike facing the opposite way, but I just cut it out and then flipped it over, and that was how I got my bike to face the opposite way. Okay, so that's it for my 10 cards this month. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you're feeling inspired to use your card kit. If you are, then please let me know in the comments section below. I always love to hear from you guys or to get suggestions on future videos. So if you're watching this video and you've never commented before, then do feel free just to say hi in the comments section below and let me know what you thought of this month's video. If you're wanting any more information on the Love From Lizi kits, I'll be sure to have a link in the description section below to Lizi's store, where you can find out all the information you need on the card kits, the add-ons, all the other items that she supplies, and also the subscription service. Personally, I really like to take advantage of adding things to my subscription package so I can get them shipped in the same box, and I know that's something that a lot of you enjoy as well. So if you haven't ordered from Lizi yet and you're thinking of getting one of the kits and also a couple of the other items, you can definitely take advantage of the reduced shipping costs that way. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back again soon. Once again, if you haven't already subscribed, then do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to make sure you're the first to know about anything I post, you can also go ahead and click that bell to activate notifications for whenever I add something new. Thanks for sticking with me right until the end of this video. On screen right now you can see a couple more videos that I think you might enjoy, and if you haven't already seen them, then go ahead and click on those icons and it will take you straight through to the video. I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye for now.